We are live. All right. Well, peace to the gods and goddesses. Yes. This is Goddess Kaheri Ma'at.
What is that?
Your spiritual life transformation magi.
Yes.
And I got my sister by my side.
What's up? Get my Mac skills together.
What's your name, sis? What's your name?
Ahkarah Kaheri, presenter of the Light Life Body and the Magi of DNA Alchemy.
Yes.
Yeah, we came up with those titles for our wonderful project, which houses our dreams, our goal, well, our purpose, all of our purpose, and how the one thing expresses itself in many ways. And so we've come to a joint alignment that shares all the things we both think are fun and are our purpose.
And our partnership is called Art
Spirit Magic.
Yes, because we are magical women.
Wait, let me get my boobies up. Here we go.
Show the cleavage.
Here we go. Magical woman on the rise. Yeah.
So art, because we're artists and in many aspects of the word, right? So
Alchemist.
Art. Ooh, we just always coming up with terms. Alchemist.
I like that.
Alchemist. Because we're musicians in certain respects. We artists in terms of we create art, right? We create art in many forms: drama, music, visual art.
Wow.
Art jewelry, as you see behind us. We're getting set up. We're ready for our vending venue that's coming up this Saturday at Nicholas Bookstore and BK, baby.
Yes.
Come see about us.
Restoration
Magic
Plaza.
Yes, at Restoration Plaza in Brooklyn, New York. It's hosted by King Simon. And Lloyd Strayhorn, the numerologist master, is going to be in the house.
The father of numerology.
And the good sister,
Queen Afunya.
Kufunya. Yes, Queen Kufunya is going to be in the house, blessing everybody.
And art in the way that you create all of the advertisements and reels.
Oh my God. My media art.
Yes.
And graphic art.
Coming to you live right now. This train is rolling and I got on it.
So while we're on the topic of art, let's talk about that a little bit. What were your first avenues? Yeah, you.
Okay.
What were your first avenues of art in your life?
Art. I feel my life was very artful because we had a lot of things in the house that were very inspirational as far as artwork on the walls. Some of it was more classic, but it was just beautiful oil paintings and rich texture on the, some of it was texturized. And my mom always did things in a very artful way. Like everything seemed to have just a feeling of love on it. And love brought me to art. Love brought me to art. My mom loved my dad.
Love brought you to art.
Yep. Singing to my mom at age 4, 3.5, 4 years old, after her husband, my father, transitioned. She was a widow. And so I would sing to her every night. All her favorite songs.
What would you say is a top favorite song
of hers? They were all the same. So let's see. It was Last Time I Saw Him by Frida Payne, and Bring the Boys Home. And then Doctor's Orders by Carol Payne. Carl Payne made Kung Fu fighting.
Everybody was Kung Fu fighting.
Yeah. That was my favorite. But yeah. Oh, don't leave me this way. I think it was oh baby, my heart is full of love. Yeah, I think that was I think that was probably our favorite because everybody got up and celebrated that one. The other ones made you feel like you lost somebody. So for a kid, I didn't know what I was singing, but all those sad songs. But that's what got me into art. And then I started dancing with Alvin Ailey at the same time at 4 at Pratt Institute. And that was amazing to watch. I can't say I was art at that time. You know what I mean? At 4, it was all around me. It showed me how to be in art and how to let art come through me. And so I grew into art from those 2 very young experiences. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, wait a minute. What about school? Didn't you go to art school?
Way later in high school.
Okay.
Yes, so I
what
sang
school did you go to?
every day, all day. Marsha, shut up. Go in your room and sing. Come out that hallway. You know, the echoes and the acoustics in the hallway. Sing all day and all night. But yeah, in junior high school, I auditioned for music and art. And myself and one of my best friends now were the only 2 who auditioned from IS-49.
Oh, by the way, we're both from Williamsburg.
What? What's the word? Scott Williamsburg. Okay, yes. So you already know. We ain't day ones, but we day 2.
Day 2, right?
Because we neighborhoods over. And
yeah, we were only a couple of blocks away.
A couple of blocks away. And it took...
That's wild.
That's wild.
We didn't meet until college.
Right. And our friends
know a lot of the same people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we came together from our friends who met you organically. And then it was like, what? Oh, we already sisters. We from the same neighborhood. But we both auditioned for music and art. And so because we were from the same neighborhood and we were the only ones taking the train back and forth and we realized we were together, then we became best friends just by going to music and art up in Harlem.
Okay.
And that was fun.
And so after school, right, you've done quite a few things in the art world.
Probably unintentionally.
Singing and theater.
Yeah.
So you recorded. You're a recording artist. You're performing, actress and singer.
Singer and vocalist. Writer, songwriter. The theater kind of ties it all together for me as far as a love. It makes me validate acting because I never really desired to be an actor because I was always silly enough, you know. But theater, which is fitting because it's the base of, you know, the forms of media that acting comes through. But live stage productions and performances, the way a production comes together, like you're together 3 months, right? Rehearsals and every part of it, the dancers, the music director, the actual director, all of the pieces start to come together. And by like the 3rd month, you're a family. Y'all have been together all this time. And then you get to perform together. And then you don't want it to end. So I love being on stage, right? So I got to do that in North Carolina. I did some off-Broadway in New York at the Actors Repertoire. And that was like on a humbug because one of the women in my neighborhood, Denise Houston, she always kind of like put me under her wing with all of the community center productions and performances. My sister as well. Because of her, my sister played steel drums. And so she had asked me to fill in for her on an off-Broadway musical called Die Obeah-Mann.
Die Obeah-Mann.
Yep. So she snuck me in to fill in for her. I didn't know the production I didn't know lines. I didn't know the role. I didn't know the story. I didn't know anything. But she told me I was a vendor and I had to walk through. Yucca yams, say that. And I mean, in the middle of the production, I had already, as a vendor, set up in one place, right? In the middle of the production, I decided, I think I want to stand over there. So I took my vending stand and moved it to another part of the stage.
Because you can.
Because I can. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any better at the time, so that was funny. But since then, I learned how to behave on stage. I got thrown off stage one time.
What happened?
In junior high school. Mr. Nelson, I was very fidgety. Mm-hmm. And he was at the back of the theater, looking probably at his tableau of, what he had set. I think we were doing Bye Bye Birdie. So that was all musical. And
by the way, tableau basically is a picture that tells a story. Theater backgrounds.
Yeah.
Using language here, Okay.
Yes, let's be deliberate. And he was like, Miss Maddox, get off my stage. And obviously I still remember that. Still a little salty for that. Yeah. But I always had to dissect it. I was like, probably I was dancing and jumping and fidgeting. Always just moving. Couldn't stand still. So I think I learned from that too. Stand your ass still on stage.
She was like, okay.
Don't pick up your stand.
How about it get right?
Get right. It didn't kick in until a long while later.
Or I lose the light, right?
Yeah.
You be out.
Yeah.
Out of the light. Out the limelight.
Pan it right to the left. Now, you've been in art just as long. All you know.
Yeah. I come from a line of very artistic people. My mom started all of us very young. I think my very first class in the arts was a dance class. I was at the age of 3.
So we both started really early.
Mm-hmm. I started out in African dance. And
right.
that's how I met Imani.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the same African dance class, and which was wild is Imani is from Lindsay, where I'm from.
Right.
But I didn't meet her initially in Lindsay. I met her at Henry Street Settlement.
Okay.
That's in the Delancey area in Manhattan.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've been together ever since, Imani and I, and Yejide. But at Henry Street Settlement, I took African dance, all different types of dance. Really.
Yeah, because
I took modern, ballet, jazz. I took children's theater. Mm-hmm. I took piano. My mom made sure that was enforcement. It wasn't something that I chose to do. And I remember this time, because I didn't really enjoy it at the time.
Piano is like someone
it
has
was
to teach you.
It was very, very rigid.
Yeah.
And I had private lessons, and I used to cry in my lessons. Mm-hmm. And I remember my teacher used to go to the bathroom and get me paper towels, and the paper towels were like the really hard brown paper towels,
those
like
industrial,
scratchy, like almost like sandpaper
that are folded together. No.
Yeah.
What are they doing with that in their house?
It wasn't in there. It was Henry Street Settlement.
Oh, that's right.
It was, those are the paper towels they had in the bathroom to wipe my eyes.
She didn't even get you toilet paper.
That would have been better, but I probably would have made a mess with the toilet paper. It was cleaner. It was cleaner for her. But it was scratchy for me.
Why'd you cry?
I was just frustrated with the process of learning. I wasn't enjoying it. I was there because I just had to be there. It wasn't something that I personally chose, and I didn't find enjoyment in it at that time.
Right, yeah. I would definitely say piano has to be like gratifying as you go, or you don't ever see a reward coming. because you never get to play a song.
Yeah, but what I did appreciate about it was that I was exposed to music, and I was exposed to learning and reading music.
Yeah.
Music theory. Learning music, which is
That's
very valuable. And my mom knew what she was doing, exposing me to these different things, because they developed different parts of my brain, because music helped to lay the foundation for a mathematical mind, my mathematical brain, but in an artistic setting. You know, later on in school, I went to PS 250 in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Product of the New York City public school system. And there I learned to play the clarinet. But all throughout my years, even through college and beyond, I danced different modalities. And not only was I a trained dancer, but I was also a street dancer. And, you know, back at our time, it was break dancing and pop locking, right? And when we got to high school, house music.
Yeah, which you can actually stop following all of the steps that are created as the new trend of the week, the year, right? And you can freestyle. And so voguing, house music, all of that was our era.
And that's what I love, the freedom of improvisation and freestyle. With the piano, it wasn't free flow. Everything was very, very rigid. Eventually, if I had stayed in it and gone past it, eventually, then I could move on to jazz and improvisation, because that's what I like. And in dance, even though dance itself, you still learn, you know, as a professionally trained dancer, you go through the rigid process. But you also have the freedom to, at least, especially in African dance, they usually give space for improvisation, for doing like a solo or something, you know, and where you can express your own creativity. And then, of course, with street dance, with street dance is all you.
Yeah.
All you. But then some people take a different approach, just like with hip hop. As a lyricist, some people are very structured. They write, they memorize, and then they perform, as opposed to like freestyle, just flowing off the top, right?
And record it one take,
and that's it, baby. It's a masterpiece. Some people, like Super Nat, was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal freestyler, although he wasn't the even though he was a phenomenal freestyler, he didn't make great hits. So his music didn't really go mainstream.
Yeah, you have to have stories and hooks to have gone.
Oh, Imani's in the house. What's up? Yes. She said, Crash Queens for life. Oh, we have so many names. Crash Queens, MTCA, Multi-Talented Choice Alliance. Peace, which stands for Preparing Escape for Africans from Chains of Enslavement. So that's
okay.
I see Imani's in the house.
What's
Our other partner was
Brooklyn
Day.
in the house.
Brooklyn's always in the house when we're around. No matter where we are, Brooklyn's in the house. You can hear it in my voice, baby. Okay.
But that's the difference you said process, and I'm stuck on that, because the difference in the process of music and dance, the body is intrinsically involved in dancing. So you feel the gratification every time I get a placement right, every time I make a move right. There's that physical. But in music, because in piano, for some reason, it takes a lot of external memorization of things and finger placement to actually get it's a lot of, like, you just don't freestyle naturally and play. You have to actually put your fingers on certain keys and change them to get up and down a scale. Oh, you're not playing properly. You know, dance, you kind of feel what proper is a little bit more because your body is in the process. So that's what always, as a kid, as a young child, dance, you can get your energy off. You can express. Yeah. You know, even if you do a move, no two bodies are going to make the same movement the same way. You can do it as much as possible and be as uniform, but the experience is still...
The Asian world has really done well in terms of the synchronization of movement. They seem to do that very, very well. They're very good imitators, too.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of... You know, we can all do things. We danced in groups our whole life. Yeah. Formally and informally. Street dancing and semi-professional with school, right? And it's still your movement, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's still your movement. You have to get it all the way through yourself. And that is your own still unique process. No one can do that for you. You know what I mean? And you can come together as much as possible, which is reduce the uniqueness of the movement of the process to be uniform. Yeah. Because we see it in all forms of group dancing. You know, there's uniformity everywhere. Yet the expression is still a unique one and individual. But that's where improv and freestyle comes in. And I love both because you get to participate with others in group dancing, and that's a wonderful synergy. And I love freestyling with others because you get to express and communicate to each other.
Yeah, because I love that you use the word communicate because it's a communication, interaction with that. I also had some rigid dance teachers who are fierce now.
Yeah. Fierce. Dance was rigid. But it still was more enjoyable because you got to put your energy into the whole thing and do it, you know.
And dance has always been my main modality in which I commune with spirit through movement. Those are the moments that I recall my earliest where I felt like I get into a zone and I'm actually in communion and I am being like a pure channel through dance.
Well, that makes sense for us with art, spirit, magic, because that individual place, which to me, the lessons and the formal classes, you're in that observation place, you're in that communion, commune situation, but you're not focused on it because you're taking lessons, you're in with the group, you're in your body with that. When you're performing and you get to actually express your emotions for that piece or through song, that connection for me happens in the middle of that, in the middle of song or in the middle of dance. With spirit. Although singing is like my most go-to, but I'm always moving. I'm always expressing my energy and my feelings, my words through my body. When I'm by myself, I'm almost always spinning or turning or just doing something to engage my physical body. To me, it's like spirit, it's artistic spirit. Because I'm not thinking about art when I'm just going to do a stretch. I'm thinking about energy. You know, I'm moving that energy. I'm opening up the way for my spirit to be clear at that moment. And movement does that for me. Dance does that for me. It moves energy immediately for me to give me the feeling that I want to feel by having that energy reside in my body. So spirit and art, only really through later freedom came together for me.
And for different people, it's different things. I know for some people that communion, that connection, they get to it different ways. Some people it's the drummer. They go into trance with the drumming. Some people it's singing. you know, the sound vibration that takes them there. For some people, it's art when they, you know, when they're making their pieces, their visual pieces. Some people, it's while they're working out, you know, while they're working out or running. A lot of people say that they go into like a meditative state when they get to a certain place in there.
And you keep mentioning the physical and the spiritual movement, because even with the drums, that's very much so more than the piano, just your fingers. You know, you really get your own rhythmic soul involved, and that to me is where the artistic and spirit meets, is your story and your soul of your journey that you can uniquely express, not uniformly express, but uniquely express. Now, wonderful choreographers are telling a great story that may bring all of the movements that brings a soul to relief, freedom in a piece. And that's what makes art so great, when the whole story, whether it's in song, in dance, or in theater of a story with song and dance in it, where you can take the emotional journey of the soul through space and time, where in that 1 hour or 2 hour performance, you actually have an experience that moves you from one place in your soul to another, further on your journey. And that to me is the purpose, benefit of being involved in art. Of, for one, I'm the soul that moves through the dance. I'm the soul that moves on my journey through the expression. So it's first me, and then those who are watching or viewing, or if anyone is watching or viewing, right? And that is the most valuable thing to me, is not the performance, but the experience, and then the sharing of it as it happens live. And that's what freestyle allows you to do, to be in that moment and share it while you're actually experiencing it. That is when the audience and the art, the spirit and the artist comes together in that moment together.
Do you have a favorite art modality?
It would have to be singing. It would have to be singing, because I get to say what I mean. I get to intonalitate it, right? I get to put the tone of the context and the expression to the detail of my soul's emotion. And I get to make sound, which, where it comes from in my body, it would have to touch that person and anyone listening. That's what I've learned later on. When the music or the breath or the place in which one is singing from, and again, that is a part of expression, and more so releasing the technique and the training and the rigidity, where you actually get into allowing your soul to move with the words, to be emotionally connected with the story, the sentiment of singing. And you can do that very, very well with song.
I would say for myself, my favorite modality would be dance. My second would be theater, because theater encompasses all of the arts. It incorporates dancing, acting, singing. It incorporates visual art in terms of, scenes, right? Creating the sets, makeup, costume. But what I love about theater, I actually like the behind the scenes aspects of theater in terms of producing and directing theater. And I got a lot out of that experience over the years.
You back-ended into theater.
Yeah, because I originally went to Howard University for psychology, until
on one hand,
and I learned psychology from another perspective in theater. When I moved to theater and at Howard University, what really attracted it to me was that the fact that they had the drama therapy aspect. And Kelsey E. Colley, he was the director of the Children's Theater Department at the time. I enjoyed working with him, and I was on the drama therapy touring group. We went to high schools and did drama therapy in the schools.
That is so cool to have done that in college.
I loved it. It was fun. It was really fun doing drama therapy in college. And then afterwards, you know, Howard University, the theater arts program.
HU.
You know. Another Howard.
Yes.
Attendee.
Attendee.
It was so thorough because I learned all aspects of theater. I learned all of it, behind the scenes, as a performer, all of it. And it fully placed me to be able to do theater from the ground up, you know. And that's what I did after college. I played around for a while because I danced on tour with an artist called Eric Gable. You can look him up. His favorites.
No. Wait. The first video I saw you in.
Oh, that was high school.
No.
What?
You wasn't in high school. This was at Howard.
What?
Doing the butt.
That was high school because that was at Brooklyn Tech High School.
But we saw it in college.
You saw it in college. That's because we filmed it right before we graduated.
Oh, that's technically not.
Spike Lee came to Brooklyn Tech High School. Imani's in the house. She's in the video, so check this out. It took place at her school, Brooklyn Tech. She went to Brooklyn Tech High School.
Brooklyn Tech.
I was an honorary Brooklyn Techie because I was almost there almost every day.
Playing hooky.
But although, don't tell them about.
Yeah, I didn't say that was my story. Yeah.
I actually went to Manhattan Center for Science and Math. But yeah, we shot that at Brooklyn Tech High School before we went off to school, and then.
They were trying to snatch you early then.
When I graduated from, I was still performing in high school, especially with Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller was our African dance. Now, Dr. Miller, she was head of the dance department. She studied on the continent of Africa. She studied West African dance. And she was one of the... she don't play around with the African dance, okay? Right. She would be like, that's not the nuance of the dance. And she was borderline abusive. She would come around and smack you on the But we loved her. We loved that. And that's where I met Indija.
What?
I met Indija in Dr. Miller's class, and Dr. Miller took her, Indija and I, under her wing.
Wow.
And she put us in performances in DC at the time.
I took swimming and tennis and gymnastics at Howard.
I
don't know how I missed the fine arts department altogether.
Well, I couldn't miss the fine arts department because when I was looking for what was I going to do when I was in psychology, because psychology wasn't it for me at Howard, I sat on campus and I looked around. I was like, okay. So what school draws me? And I looked at the fine arts school.
That was a great question to ask.
And I saw all the people coming out the building looking happy, smiling, and dancing, and having a good time. They were just living their best life. I was like, I want to go where the happy people are, so that's where I went.
No, that was
how
spirit guiding you.
How I wound up at the fine arts department, by the way, where Chapman Bozeman went.
That's right.
He went to my same school.
And Debbie Allen was teaching there, or shortly after. Did they have the dance?
No, Debbie Allen and Felicia Richard, they're before us.
Yeah, but I'm saying teaching.
No, Felicia, I don't know when she was
Debbie
teaching.
Allen.
I don't know when Debbie Allen was teaching, but I know Felicia Rashad is there now. She's the head of
that's after us.
Department, yeah. But also Taraji P. Henson was in my class.
She was there while you.
She was one of my classmates. And Eric Robeson, R&B artist, he was one of my classmates too. We actually did a scene together. We did "Death of a Salesman" by Leroy Jones, aka Amiri Baraka, father of Roz Baraka, who was there while we were at Howard, took over the
now mayor.
Mayor of.
Well, we started a political organization akin to the Black Panthers, which mean it had a military faction to it, which there was no other student organization in history as a student organization that had a military faction, which we had ministers of defenses and things like that. We had executive minister, we had intelligence ministers, we had,
That's Black Nia Force.
Yes. Here comes Black Nia Force. Nia is purpose in Swahili, and Force, freedom, organization, and racial and cultural enlightenment. So.
Yeah, and we also, at the same time, P. Diddy was at Howard. So
yeah.
P.
Who was just P. Diddy, and D. Derek Dot. Derek Angeletti. Who else is there? So many people were there.
Tracy Lee,
and Garfield from Shy, and also all of them were from Howard.
Yeah,
the whole group.
Who else? Knowledge from Diggable Planets.
Yeah, I gave him his name actually. We were in a cipher because I was a 5% in high school.
Okay,
and he was like, "What? Queen Mecca, True Earth?" And I was like, "Yeah, True Earth."
True Earth.
Okay, and because the Earths had named me, and they had taught me, how to derive a name, and he was so eager, and we came up with his name, which was Knowledge, but we wanted Craig in there, so we said C Knowledge, and he kept it. Okay, and then became Diggable Planets. I was like, nigga. You owe me $5 for that name. $5.
But good times. We had good times. And we were there for the first hip hop conference,
which was started by Mia Force organizers and leaders.
Islam, and Vita, Jamel Ridgway,
April Silver, all of them. Jamel, Gerald Smith, all of them were a part of the Cherie. All of them. The hip hop conference was big, and they just had the 30th anniversary of it.
Don't get me on numbers. I don't remember
the third anniversary of it.
The third.
The third.
The third.
10-year anniversary.
The third 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, there we go. There you go. But my high school, in just giving honor, because Slick Rick, we were all in the crew. They had a crew called the Kengo Crew. So him and Dana Dane and another guy, Al, and another guy, Craig.
Okay, yes.
We all hung out, and it was like the TV show Fame, where everybody's not dancers, but everybody was dancing. Dancing was in performing arts. We have Music and Art High School and Performing Arts High School. Ferrilio H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art. Now it's High School of the Arts. Third Base from MC Serge was there. Tashina Arnold from Martin. I mean, these are all like in my class, like just regular people. Desiree Coleman, who did Mama I Want to Sing. Dana Slick Rick. Just a lot of people. Who else? Oh, famous bass player, Shawnette Moffett, whose first gig was on a world tour with Wynton Marsalis in high school. So we got our GEDs together. Okay. He got his GED because he was world famous. I got mine because I fucked up in school.
But you got your shit together.
Hey.
Hey, Earl is in the house. He sent us some flowers. Love you, sis.
But in New York, arts and entertainment is really almost like par for the course. You're going to be doing something expressive. Even if you are an engineer or a mathematician or a bus driver, music and art is like a New York thing.
It's part of the fabric.
Yeah, it's part of the fabric.
Part of the fabric of New York.
Yeah.
Just walking down the streets, we know for music blasting. just you could be in your. I grew up hearing music all types of day and night.
All types of music.
Especially Spanish music.
Spanish music. I hear it right now.
Yes.
We're both hearing it right now.
Brooklyn, the Spanish music was popping.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, when I made the transition from psychology to theater, part of it was a realization that I had cut myself off from my creative expression because I had actually gotten kind of in a depressive state when I was in psychology. I wasn't doing anything creative. I was just going to my classes. I was still going to the club.
That was consistent.
Yeah, that was consistent.
But you still didn't get the message. Why aren't I dancing? Why aren't I doing art? I didn't think about that. I told you I missed the fine arts department altogether because it was almost like in my era, being an artist and an athlete was like too common. It was the way to not to go, not to be taken serious, not to be, credible as a leader in the so-called community or in your life. Or so the arts were almost like, oh man, I can't do that. That's not gonna bring. It's like a common road. It's too easy. Being an artist is not easy. Being in art is not common. And everyone does not have the discipline, the experiences, the processes, the training to actually go do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone can go do it. But when you have taken all those classes and been a part of it, to honor it, I'm glad that you got to very early and soon in college. And it kind of hit for me a little bit as important to me as a survivor, but then I realized shortly.
Wait, hold up. Imani, that's where your son is going in the fall? He's going to Howard?
Ain't you? What?
Is that what you telling us? Okay, you can't be telling me this stuff on the live. Okay.
So he picked Howard.
Hey! Okay, nice.
He needs to make a video now.
I don't know anybody who don't love the Howard University experience.
Beautiful people, intelligent people, world-renowned.
Oh, no. So tell us, where is he going in the fall? Tell us. Oh, wait, he's not going. Wait, he's changing. That's why he's going to high school.
Where are you reading?
I'm looking at the IG Live. So in the fall, he will be going to high school. He's not ready for college yet.
Okay, but he's applying.
Yeah, so some school we mentioned, that's where he's going in the fall.
Oh, wait.
Oh, LaGuardia. He's going to LaGuardia.
Whoa, that's right, baby. Because they have instrumental music, graphic arts, vocal music, dance, and acting. Now they're all in one building.
One of my sister Rita, went to LaGuardia.
Yeah. What? Oh, okay. What's she major in?
Music.
Vocal or okay. Wow.
Yeah. But to your point about the view of music and doing it professionally or art doing it professionally, it wasn't even a thought because growing up, I was groomed to go to college and do something professional. So I was in the mindset of becoming a psychiatrist until I realized that psychiatrists just prescribe medicine and it wasn't about the medicine life. And so I was going to be a psychologist until I hit a wall in this one class when they were like, okay, you got to choose a side, nature versus nurture. And I was just like, these people are asinine. Don't they see it's both? Like, I don't understand. It's like, you want me to argue one side or the other, and it's clearly all of it. And then that's when I realized I had cut myself off from my creative mind because they weren't asking me to use my mind in psychology at that time. They were asking me to regurgitate these so-called scholars. It was regurgitation, and that didn't require me to use my brain at all.
Well, yeah,
and
I was in that same psychology department.
Yeah, so that it wasn't for me. I felt cut off. I felt stifled. And then when I moved into theater, then I I was on the dean's list from that point on. I was on the dean's list.
Yeah, that's like
I shined
having
at
recreation
that point.
and lunch as a major. You know, it's when it's that much fun.
Yeah,
but it's a lot of work.
And it was fun. And it was a different experience because in psychology, my relationship with my professors was I was basically a name in a grade book. They didn't know me. In the fine arts department, I knew my professors by their first name. They knew me by my name. They even invited us to events at their house. You know, that it was big difference. It was they took us under their wing. You know, they really, you know, they groomed us. It felt like, it felt like a small school setting within a huge university.
Right, and that's what the Fine Arts College always seemed like to me. You know, when I would see them perform, or a lot of the colleges were like that.
It was like a family.
Yeah, the music departments, like the band, was like that. You know, things of that nature. Music kind of brings you together in that way. The psychology department turned me off at Howard too. Not the psychology department at Howard, but it was at the psychology department at Howard in the psychology of traits class that clued me into, you know what, the theory of psychology, the way it's being taught, is not foundational. Yeah. I knew in myself.
It wasn't mastered as a science. That was clear to me. I was like, I thought I was learning the science of human behavior, but it was such an infant stage that I felt like, okay, I'm not learning.
Yeah, who knew that we were ancient scholars and geniuses and things of that nature at the time? I just figured, why do I know these things and my professors aren't even touching on things that are innate to me, natural from my knowledge, and my deductive reasoning from all of the psychology that I'd taken up until that point, because I had associates in psychology at liberal arts at BMCC. And I enjoyed those because they were basic classes. But once you got up into some of the more refined ideas, like 3 traits, personality traits, now we know there are 23. And at that time, I just felt like I don't even think the integrity of academia cares if they are cutting edge or not. They are just teaching what the curriculums or the science up until now says. And I mean, I don't know, we have a whole lot of theories, and now we know the truth of the limitation of the information and how it's based on theories. You know, lots of theories. And we can come up with our own theories. Exactly. And in 20 years, they will be teaching them. So. Yeah. But art, spirit, magic. The magic has been all the way through.
This is true.
All of those experiences.
And I'm just thinking about all the ways that I was able to express myself, and
I'm sorry, this light is burning.
The privileges that I was afforded by being in the art world, right? Being a dancer allowed me to travel the world. You know, first I traveled the United States as a dancer, then being able to travel outside of the U.S. through dance. It's been like my magic genie making things happen for me. You know, having that dance expression exposed me to a lot of things, to a lot of people, places, and things as a dancer.
So where you are now in life, what is the expression of choice that gives you the freedom and gratification? Dance still. I know the answer to that.
Still dance. And when I graduated after dance, I wound up working at Stepson Music Entertainment with Bill Stephanie as the director of production and creative services, another art position because I oversee all the print material, the photo shoots, the album professionalism, album covers, and
came
logos.
Together.
Yes, and then eventually I started using my degree and started teaching theater, teaching children's theater. I started from the little children with creative drama to producing stories, children's stories, and improv. Taught all the way from kindergarten through high school. I wound up becoming a high school teacher, certified in theater and special education as a learning specialist. Oh,
how did you become a biology teacher?
How did I become a biology teacher?
Well,
because science has always been a staple of mine. I remember I went to a math and science high school.
Okay.
All right. In order to get into Math and Center Science and for science and math, you had to have at least an 80, a B average in math and science, which I had easily. And I just always had a scientific mind. And as I was raising my children, there were times when I stayed at home and found things to do at home. But when I started venturing out, I also had a nursery daycare in my home.
Okay.
And I sold jewelry and made jewelry at that time. That's when I started vending jewelry. Now I'm back full circle to selling jewelry. And
creating and making creative, and sharing.
And I think I answered your question. And so over the years, and then graphic design has been in there as well. I also did the layout of a magazine for this magazine for Somerset Society International.
So that was ongoing over some years. The creation, the magazine.
Yeah. And that's when I really started getting into like the graphic design part of it. I started out visually, but I started at Stepson Entertainment with the graphic design, being exposed to it, and then I continued on. Also, I had I was the one that tended to work on like the logos. Like I was the one who initiated the logo for the group for our group Peace. So I worked with the artists on developing the Peace logo. I just always had an inclination to art in a digital sense. And just like when I made the logo for Art Spirit Match, I just like doing that kind of stuff. I like doing it. But also like making sets for theater. So we would make
that's visual also telling the story.
But I would incorporate technology into it. A lot of times I would make it, and then some of my sets would be just a scene that I created that I would project onto a
mixed
screen.
Media.
Mixed media.
Yeah.
But it would be utilizing technology to create those.
Now the last production that I was at, done by the Justice Theater Project, which was my theater in North Carolina, one of the last productions we had social media involved in the production itself, which was Dollhouse, which was a new take on the Dollhouse. So we had the audience able to send social media messages that would show up and the actor would read that as like one of the conversations in the actual dialogue. So it was like we're really getting into mixed media now with live theater. And so that's fun. You know, I guess new theater goers like, you know, a little bit more engagement. It wasn't distracting at all, and it was engaging because the audience would have a good funny, because they would say something funny, or, you know, try to throw the actor off with something, but they kind of had it already preset, but it was allowing the audience to actually participate in the social media, on the screen, projected in the story with the actors in the line. So that was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That was a lot. And I was like, wow, we pulled that off. That was a great idea. So we're moving in many ways to actually incorporate the basic art, word, physical movement, and physical presence. But it can reach you through digital means. And now we know through projecting ourselves holographically places, you know, energetically, through telepathic communication. You know, that's where I see, maybe that's where inspiration comes from.
From?
Projections.
Projections.
Yeah. Holographic, energetic projections from our higher self. Like, have we been always physically there, or is another part of me?
Well, because it does all start in the etheric, right?
The etheric realm,
so
yes.
What you see, right? And then then it takes its time to manifest in the 3D. Now we're getting into the spirit and the magic aspect of it. But yeah, it is where it starts. It starts with what you see first, right? Yeah. That's why the main tool of manifestation is visualization. The fashioning of light, right? The fashioning of light to create whatever you're manifesting, which is, you know, also empowered by your emotion, and then that emotion puts the matter, right? Emotion, energy, and motion, putting matter into motion to fashion itself into manifest into the 3D.
And sound brings that light into its forms.
Yeah, the resonance, the frequency. It helps to move the frequency. The frequency helps to move it. Yeah. The matter.
Right. Because matter is energy, vibration, and frequency. It isn't solid. It really is. And so are we.
Absolutely. We're made up of frequencies. We can go, this conversation could go really, really deep. I'm starting to feel complete, because I think we talked a lot about...
made a good introduction.
We talked a lot about our artistic side, and we kind of dabbled and dipped in the spirit and magic part of who we are. And I think it's a good place to put a pin.
Yeah.
And just to remind you that we're going to be in BK this weekend.
Yes.
August 27th at Nicholas Bookstore, Restoration Plaza. So come out. Lloyd Strayhorn is going to be
Lloyd
in the building.
Strayhorn, the father of numerology.
Yes.
And King Simon, the newly dubbed Prince of numerology.
Yes. And the sister goddess.
Yes, divine goddess.
Yeah. The crystal goddess is in the building.
Let me tell you how elevation happened for us. So,
talk about it.
Yes, you said how people, places, and things. So we were invited, and we were inviting ourselves or participating in a vending event in New Jersey. Turns out it got upgraded to an event in Brooklyn in one of the seats of consciousness in a very historical place where the Billie Holiday Theater is, a very it's called Historian Bookstore, right? So, I mean, you need to be a scholar to participating in an event with Lord Strayhorn, King Solomon, and Goddess Queen Kufunya. So we are on our path. Spirit has us magically, and we're committed to sharing who we are and this journey. And we're very, Thelma and Louise, glad that we have synchronized alignments.
Taking our show on the road.
Yes, yes. And gratitude. Gratitude is that energetic resonance that is flowing. That's going to keep me going and staying open as an artist and being willing to share and go where spirit and magic takes us through art.
All right, and besides jewelry, and by the way, it's fine art jewelry. Remember, art, spirit, magic.
Yes.
The jewelry that we have crystal jewelry. We have fine gemstones or semi-precious stones. They're made out of, we have copper, we have leather, really beautiful stuff. You should check out the goddess Ahkarah's Etsy shop, Vibrations by Marsha. So I'll probably put a link at the bottom of the video for you to check back. So check back if you want to check out her beautiful artwork.
Made to order. Custom pieces. So
awesome custom
you can let me know what you like.
And also, we're going to be vending our books. I'm gonna vend my book, Magical Woman: 10 Steps to Unleash the Divine Feminine Powers.
And I'm gonna share Please Think Healthy, Mind, Body, and Spirit Connection through biblical principles and universal principles.
And also, I'm going to be doing my readings. So I have the Life Path reading, where you find out exactly why you came to Earth. And
a must know.
Everybody needs to know why did you come to Earth?
Yes.
Who are you and what did you come to do? Right. As well as my soul journeys and dream journeys. So I'm a portal keeper where I guide people through the spirit world to meet your soul and ask questions direct from your soul, who you are and what you came here to do, and what's your next station of life. You know, what's coming down the pike for you. So what do you need to be working on right now? Find that out, and how to get your life questions answered directly from that part of you that knows all. So I'll probably leave some links at the bottom for that if you guys are interested in those readings as well. They fill up, so reserve yours when you if you know you need it. And anything else? Did we leave anything else out? You have been tuning into Art, Spirit, Magic reality
art,
show
spirit.
with Goddess Ahkarah and
Goddess
Kaheri, myself, and we're gonna see where this goes. We might do this on a daily, on a weekend. Let's see how it flows. If there's something you'd like us to do, if you'd like to ask us questions, just hit us up. Write some comments in the chat and let us know. We're just going to flow with this.
Yes, we're open.
Yes, we just share.
I'm open for my life. I'm open for my purpose. I'm open to, in this carnation, satisfy what my soul is here to do. So I'm committed to that.
Likewise. All right, so this is just a glimpse of Goddess life with Ahkarah and Kaheri.
A and K.
Peace.
Peace and love.
Okay. Hey.